ביקשנו בסטודנטים לחשוב על איך הם יכולים למצוא סיפורים מקומיים, קונפליקטים בתוך האתר ולהפוך אותם למחשבות מרחביות על שאפשר לראות כל מיני שליחי לאתר. אז הוא תרגיל קונספטואלי, רעיוני, וכל קבוצה בעצם לקחה את זה לכיוון אחר, נושאים מאוד מאוד מעניינים, והרעיון שאנחנו ניקח את מה שהסטודנטים עשו עד היום, הלאה. זה לא סוף של תרגיל, זה בעצם ההתחלה של תרגיל. עוד דבר חשוב להגיד זה שהנושא של תשתיות הוא נושא מאוד חשוב לסטודיו שלנו. תנועות תשתית לא בהכרח כמשהו פיזי, אבל כמושג שהוא יכול להוביל תהליך תכנוני. וזהו, אנחנו נשמע את הסטודנטים בעצמם. יש לנו 5 קבוצות, אז אפשר אולי להתחיל לראות 2 פרויקטים, לדבר, ואז
seeing upside down. Down. We have learned that beneath Tel Aviv lie buried villages, and we understood that there are overlapping layers. The ground acts as a horizontal barrier between the 2 cities, the one exists above ground and the one that physically exists below. According to the existing topography, we try to envision how the rise of the water level will change as a result of global warming, and how this rise will influence the shoreline of Tel Aviv.
So we focused on 2 areas. The first one is the Ramat Aviv area, which is found above the ruins of old village Sheikh Muniz, and this is the perceived section, and this is the existing section actually, and we linked the 2 layers so that the foundation of the perceived layer could serve as the infrastructure for the new layer. And the second area is the near reading. This area is covering actually the Plishtim, Philippines village, and the overflow of the water by the global warming will expose this buried city.
Started of thinking how the virtual infrastructure of the future will influence our behavior or our how we conceive the space, and this is where we're going in the future, and we start thinking what it will do to the reality or what it will do to the real open spaces. We start off thinking that the formal need of the cities or of the spaces wouldn't be more important. So we started thinking maybe to connect to give something else, not the normal, the formal grid. So we start thinking of the breaking the normal grid that you can see here. That's how it will and how it will be.
Try to sketch the new connection that can evolve through the opening of the usual grid, the formal grid, and try to see the city as a collection of situations like naked city offers, and try to think how we can do the links between the areas, like a metaphor to the virtual reality that links us through one space to another with just one click. So the spaces or the old grids of transportation and linkage would be no longer necessary or no longer influencing and disconnecting areas.
We start by marking the new links of the site, new places, places that are right now is where are all the things happening. For example, the reading or the beach right here. Start marking them and see how we can connect them differently, not by grids, not by normal paths. We start thinking how we can offer a new infrastructure that can make these connections and connect it to the virtual reality that will be more and more in our lives in the future. We offered a new infrastructure that can do that, as you can see on this image, how we imagine that. The infrastructure can be sit on the site and offer new activities or make them possible. This is the section, how it can be. You can see here how this is the ground, that's the reality. Above the ground there is the new infrastructure that we offer, and on the new infrastructure you can see it here. You can see it here that there will be some kind of partitions and walls that will be like screens, and people can screen on them, virtual situations or situations, yeah. And that's it. That's the maybe image that can show it the best.
Okay, so our workshop for today was thinking about what can different reality that we trade between different places in Israel that today cannot be done, like in the era of the British settlement here. How can it be today? And maybe have some elements that are from different places, and how can it be places here in this particular area?
Our main thought was, what if we can bring to Israel little parts of other cities around the Mediterranean Sea, and what can we learn from them, and what the best part of them, like in the 1930s they had the Orient Fair, so every country brought her best technology, and so we thought, what about if we can still do that and bring also little pieces from there, not also architectural, but also cultural maybe, and let them have platform for different cultures and diversity. Yeah.
First thing we identified in the site basically is that it's full of holes, open holes and fractions that contains empty structures and they're disconnected from each other in various ways. So this is the site we already know. So the first question we ask is, we usually try as architects to connect the function to open fabric. But if we try to, what if we try to connect the open fractions to holes? So we made this kind of matrix table, and I'm not going to illustrate everything, but basically we took the holes, you see here, and the fractions, stepped off really placed near the power station where they sell ceramics and building disposal, fire department, the electricity company, parking near reading, port area which we identify as a kind of a hole in the city, no offense, but it's very different from the surroundings. And Hayakon, of course, river that breaks the city into two. And we started to think about every hole as a density aspect, accessibility, greenness, public, and topography. And next question is, can we connect two different fragments only by balancing one of the many differences they share? I mean, there are many differences between the holes, but maybe we can take just one difference and balance between them and to see what we can get from it. So the first example we tried to do is the parking near reading here and the Iron stream. And we took the two of them from the matrix, and we saw the topography difference, of course. So we thought about what if we compare the topography and try to make it the same. As you can sea level and 2 meters above. This is how it used to be. It's like really instant thinking. Maybe try to think through this. So this is the minor act we did. Try to insert the icon into the parking space. We can imagine what we can do to the space. It's not only parking areas all from the city, but it opens up a new public space, maybe and the vegetation into the site or different area.
The second example takes the Dover Airport and the ring power plant, which you can see share a border. This is a zoom map of the area, the runway for the airport. The main building of the power station is, well, it's kind of black there, but it's there. There's the civil airport entrance on the right. But this is the way it actually works, that there is the military base, which is completely close to the public, and then there is then there's a normal airport, which you can see the entrance there to the right, and the power plant. Again, we took the two different fractions, and we looked again at the different characteristics of the two, trying to find out where is the main difference. So as you can see, most of the characteristics are quite similar, but the accessibility is quite different. While reading is completely close to the public and is inaccessible, the airport has some sort of possibility to go inside when you go to Eilat or wherever it is that you're going. If we're talking about accessibility for pedestrians, this is the situation the way it is today. There is the West Promenade, which is well developed, that we all know by the sea, and there is this not very much functioning way of going around this entire area. You can see examples from the one that's not very functioning over here. So again, we're looking into accessibility, into just this factor, and we're saying, all right, what if we take this quality for both of the places and change it into something which is more or less the same? I mean, not completely opening it, but in some way opening it. So again, this is the existing situation, and this is what we might offer, which is creating some sort of a way between the two. For sure, keeping the airport the way it is, but maybe considering changing the entire area of the area owned by the Air Force, creating this new path going from both sides of the airport, different scenery, you might think, and this illustration of how it might go from the other side, not saying the same. But this is maybe the important thing we would like to share with you, which is this metrics showing many different possibilities to start planning with. Take two places, one characteristic, change it and see what might occur. That's it.
In our video, we deal with the relationship between the human and the nature of the sea. We ran into a term called
we thought of the idea at the first that we the humans deal with the nature, and then we had a conversation with Els and Martine, who said, and we were positive about it, that we humans are too the nature, and so it doesn't have to be a conflict, but it has to work together. And as for it, we work with the term ecotone, which means that there are two or multiple ecosystems of creatures and nature creatures, and the ecotone is a buffer zone between them, who obtains the advantages of each of the ecosystem, and at the same time it creates new life, new creatures, and new systems in it. We will see the movie.
The last image was your vision.
Yeah. Let's go back a bit to that. So we can start talking and then
what distracts me actually is that from three first presentations, they will all come up with a new plan under the pressures of climate change. Second, because our virtual technicalities are evolving, and what you see is that the connection with the ground, with the land, physical land, they find that is kind of important. So it is if people keep on relating their identity with the ground itself. So first is wanted to recover history. Actually, it's kind of related to identity of certain group of people. The second, nevertheless, all the virtual possibilities, the only thing to minimize the urban infrastructure and the urban fabric, they still want to keep almost the topology and the natural aspects of the ground itself. And also the burden by keeping best of everything. It seems like people who are immigrated here to Israel want to bring all the piece of their identity from their home back to here. So the relationship with being related with your home ground seems to be still very important aspect for the students. And also the last one is regional fractions. That's more on the physical qualities and characteristics of the site itself, where you start working with matrix. So that is my
just the start.
No, sometimes you have just an exercise and then you start the project, or you then continue with the same group, same thing.
Well, the idea is that with this exercise put forward a few very burning issues on the site and for them. And that they develop ways of dealing with these issues, but not necessarily pinning down already what the solution is. Start exploring what can happen when we focus on this.
And they would work in the same groups?
Not necessarily.
So what I found really nice virtual. You know, I think we have to keep being playful. And it's, I must admit that in Israeli education, the whole notion of being playful about architecture sometimes is seen as a sin. So it's, we have to come and to build these homes for these people who don't, we're coming from the Choma Migdal. It's not. So I find it very refreshing that in all the projects, methodology, you were playful, and I encourage you to continue with this state of mind and way of working, because I think it's where new things come out. When you allow yourself to be playful, sometimes to be not so to start doing things that you don't know where they're going to end up or how they're going to end up. And that's very refreshing in the Israeli Academy, so this is the whole. As to the projects themselves, of course, they're all very sort of preliminary, and I think maybe the next stage would be to probe, sort of go into the reason that each of you were interested in this or another aspect. Okay, whether it is the collage, the idea of I mean, I think if you look at it, if you analyze the projects, in every project there is some culturally there is a very interesting aspect that sometimes you're not even aware to, and it's worthwhile probing into it and understanding it, because it can lead to interesting development of the project. So I don't know if it's clear, but for instance, I mean, the first one is the ecological aspect, which is more obvious, and the second one I see that the whole sort of collage and montage sort of project, I would call it, is first of all, it's good fun. I enjoyed it, and I think you enjoyed it, which is also important. and I think it deals with something that you mentioned, but it's true. It's very strong in all the architecture culture, but maybe more in a country like this that is actually very new, and it's all about importing. I mean, our architecture tradition, I think we talked about it last time, but our architecture tradition is very new. We haven't got any. This old port is only built by our grandparents. It's not. We have no tradition of building. So it's all about importing things from other cultures and examining them in this context. And normally it's something that you do, or you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to build from whatever is here. So it's quite nice to uncover this taboo and deal with it and see where it can lead. The virtual platform project I think is interesting. I think I would expect in this project to also see in the presentation, in the presentation to use tools that may be different than these more conventional tools that deals with history or with I don't know, ecology. It's like here, I mean, I always say that architectural projects in school, they are one-to-one, you know. It's not the whole sort of way of teaching that encourage you or is supposed to teach you how to be an architect, you know, is actually not very relevant. I felt it when I was a student, you know, I felt it's bullshit, you know. You know, you're teaching us how to do things and then it's not real, no one can really judge it, and so actually what you're doing is one-to-one, you know. This is the architecture and these are the people who are using it. We, you know, the spectators in the academy, your fellow students. So whatever you want to do, think about your tools. And if you're talking about virtual connections and digital aspects, then, you know, take it forward. The last project about the walls, I think is very interesting, the whole matrix system, and it has a great playful potential, you know, the whole connection between things that don't normally connect. Remember, I had one of my most talented students in London. He was sort of into Dada, you know, and then one day he comes with a drawing, and on the drawing there was an amazing, you know, like the British knows how to draw, drawing of a fly, you know, zwoof, that landed on his drawings, you know. And this was the beginning of his project. So I'm saying this is your, you know, this is your opportunity to connect things that don't seem to connect or have no reason to connect, and to, you know, I'm sure something new will come out of it, like you start to show in different aspects. And as to the void, I think if we're talking about the more, I would say, if we look at this project from a cultural aspect, I think it's interesting to look into it. What interests you in it? Why is it interesting? What can, you know, grow in voids that cannot grow in other places that are not voids? Could be a good starting point.
No, but it's true what she's saying, that despite the reality pressure, which is very present and happened here in Israel, that as students they still pose the question, what does really matter, and that they go back to those kind of historical sites, because you actually, Tel Aviv is a very young city, but actually the whole of Israel is like the oldest inhabited piece of land you could ever imagine. I guess they learned that there are already 30,000 known architectural sites, although there is like maybe there should be a new approach for dealing with it in urban planning, because it's an enormous rich culture which is here, and also nevertheless the conflicts that are maybe here more present, because so many different ethnic groups are coming together here, claiming land or trying to find a homestead. That is despite of that kind of conflict that should turn it into something extremely positive. So this is like an opportunity to create things, and like there is the will to develop here. It's something precious that you must really space, but take a stand.
Well, I think that in these last 3 days, the students really managed to put a finger on some really crucial aspects of the site that we are looking at. Bring out like a very layered, in the end, a very layered understanding of the area and its meaning for larger region. Start seeing the importance of the site in terms of sea level rise and ecological changes. On the one hand, we start to understand that the fact that it's a place where for a very long time the unknown was happening, the hidden, the illegal on the one hand, but also everything that needs more space, like Levant Fair. It can be in the center of the city because there's not enough space. So here you have this kind of undeveloped areas that can be a place where events are and where function is not clearly defined as the same all the time, but something that is more ephemeral. So there's, I think, a lot of qualities of the site came up that are really good to understand. And I think, in addition, you also managed to start translating them into spatial concepts. But this is still where it remains undeveloped. Yeah? But I think that's in each project right now. There's like a little seed of a spatial idea that it's still like a little baby, embryo. It's not, you know. That it's very good to be in this place. Yes, it's something that we should really, I think, we as a group should try to cherish and really cultivate and bring something new to our, not only to the site, but to us, to our profession. But I think it was, I mean, thanks to Martine also, it was a really very interesting kind of method that we worked on. That on the one hand makes, some people always is from this area and brought some very personal memory of this place, and other people found some really interesting local conflicts. And based on very specific events, stories in the newspaper, start building up this whole understanding. Eventually it leads to plans and sections, but they're very well informed.
And then it's not, that's what you're also pinpointing, like school is like, it's just an imaginary project and it's not dealing with the different intervening groups and policymakers, the different groups alike, which are very important to work with and to know what debates are going on and what the pros and cons about a certain region area. Otherwise, you're making a design that completely misses its target. But this is what I try to do also this 3 days, also in the beginning, try to find really what makes Tel Aviv and specifically that site what's going on. Very preliminary, but it's just the way of doing, which is kind of important. Also, I like this kind of matrix. It's a way in of like not seeing everything at once, but like defining new. Maybe we could add some other more unconventional categories and start to find matches and links, so you really would encounter and expected things. So I really believe also in this kind of strategy.
So the ecotone is the wetland?
It's all. Okay.
In the other image, we also used windmills and
Irrigation.
Yes. Elements
contribute to the nature.
Yeah, so with the wetlands, we can contribute to the nature, because it has a lot of
Advantages. So we use the infrastructures of the humans and the infrastructures of the sea and see how we can either combine them, either each system can contribute to a new system to maintain their existence and to make the existence better than it is.
So the idea that the wetland is also a sanitation. I mean,
it purifies the seawater. Yeah, this is the seawater. The seawater. This is our contribution to the nature, actually, and the fact that we showed it at the beginning of the presentation, scheme of the sea sands, and we saw that since the 1930, the sands decreased because of the building environment, the dwellings, every built environment, and so therefore what we suggest actually is the wetlands enables two ecosystems to live together and to decrease the less we can to harm the nature.
Can I ask a question? The two ecosystems, that is the human-built surroundings and the sea?
And the sea.
Okay.
And the buffer zone
is what you create.
I just want to add something. There are natural wetlands that can clean the gray water, what you said. So it just, there are a lot of residents that there are wetlands and that clean the gray water and straight away release the water to the sea. So maybe it can be the opposite as well.
To use the water that's being used for the power station.
Yeah, just to clean the gray water from all the neighborhood and just to release it to the river maybe and to make the river more, I don't know, bigger, cleaner.
The more common use for wetland is to actually clean
the water for the humans.
Yes, then or to return it back to the sea. It's clean water rather than sewage.
It's both contributing to the humans and the nature.
Yeah.
Like actually the clear cut, like the nature becomes continuous. It's like a different approach than like introducing separate patches of parks in between buildings, which is a far more urban settlement or arrangement. I think that here you have the opportunity to be near the sea and to do something else and more with the sea landscape. So I thought bringing in this up-leveled walking routes of that kind of wetland, which is also a functional element, is a nice idea, typically here for seashore. That might
I'm wondering, because when we discussed yesterday, we were very much talking about the meditation and the structure of humans being in this place, and now in the final result, there's human presence is very minimal.
We took it on a global site and we zoomed out from the construction itself, those typical systems by the electricity, the sanitation, lighting, and every infrastructure that the humans need to maintain and to better exist in the world.
And when you find out about the term ecotone, I found it very interesting to deal with it here.
Because I'm asking because I think that I like a lot the final image is very interesting.
The next image is more interesting than
But I'm wondering, can you take it further than like can you make even a more better mix between the two ecologies, the urban ecology and the city?
And here stays it a bit there are the housing units, like more also in the middle of the picture, but still it's a kind of zoning principle, like inhabitation is out of nature and there is not a combination. So there might be a kind of like your ecotone system, a transitional zone where you literally bring in the dwelling in the nature. Nature still can figure.
Just like schemes to show the beginning with both systems and merging one into each other. So that might be a good idea. And else I wanted to say that I'm not sure so how natural is this system. It might look natural, but it's completely artificial. That's the nice thing about it.
I like it in a way. I actually like the fact that we didn't combine the residential. Because I think there is, in these two images, there is something very extreme. Okay? So in a way, these images I think are intriguing because you created the city extreme and same. Okay? And I would think I would try to take this concept even further. So you made this extreme landscape in the west, okay? But this is only one material in a way. And I would actually try to take, if you have a very big area, and maybe try to develop this also into sand, the sand big part, and so the combination I would try to do with the different materials rather than and to leave the natural area as extreme nature, because also I think in the plans for this area there is quite, I think the biggest urban park in Tel Aviv is close to it. And I'm always looking at it and I think, oh, it's going to be another sort of grass and trees and I think in here there's like maybe some fresh thoughts about how a big chunk of landscape in the city can and also I would maybe go to look at projects like STOS and reminds me of this project it's a big competition. So that you start to create a dynamic of things that grow with the years and change with the years.
I think we would want to add more built programs to bring in a little bit more of the other ecosystem, the built system. I wouldn't go for dwellings, I would go for maybe something more public, or when she said an extreme landscape, it could be a very interesting educational platform for the whole ecological thing that is very undeveloped in Israel. I would say if they generalize, is that very much known. So maybe educational facilities and platforms for this kind of situation to expand.
This is exactly what's the program of the studio. Ecological educational facilities. Right, Okay, any reactions from the students? Say how
It was surprising that there's a difference with the results. We talked about the similar things in the studio, and then we have a completely different outcome.
different from
The final, the collab, the final.
any reactions?
I can give a compliment for doing such a lot of work in such a short time. As a former student, I can say I appreciate your work. And maybe I can add that I see a connection between two projects that were done here. One is the layers. We see what's underneath when the water will spread. And the second was, I think, the volumes they showed, and I see connection. How do you define a volume in this area? Because I didn't understand your approach for volumes. Voids. Voids that they chose to show, but I see the layers underneath this area and some voids you can look up to, maybe the Arab village that was mentioned, and other layers underneath this, the ecological means. Yes. And then,
Anyone else?
I don't know if we can accept any program now that you're going to give us. You're going to give us like a program with square meters and stuff. Things.
Are you asking?
No, it's going to be a problematic thing.
They already invented the program.
Yeah, how to get like a program. See.
The architecture is to invent the program.
No, seriously?
No, you're right. It's kind of, but this is where I think we should be. You know, when you go to a place, first of all, in any project, the program is something that you build together with the client. It's not something that you get and the client knows exactly what they want. So I think that's one thing. And the second thing is that there's, even if they know very well what they want, there's also what the site wants. You know? Yes, exactly. It's good for the community, and then still it's always a negotiation. You get the program and you start to see how to negotiate it with the other parameters.
This area will change dramatically the 20 next year instead of I don't know, will change the whole site. I think it's something you need to consider when you continue your planning.
For the long run.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to say thank you very, very much to Martine. It's really enriching, and I think she got a really fresh view of how we work and how different methods can help us to expand the way we think. It's really great. And thank you to Ganit for help. Support. Yeah. And thanks for all of you, for the students, for the effort. So there's some refreshments there. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.